This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
I shudder thinking how the world can be so cruel. I lend my voice to those who can't. It's time we try, it's time we care, it's time we stand. It starts with a voice.
To the Special Chronicles show, Unified at Work series. We coded. My name is Daniel Spikowski. I'm the founder and host of Special Chronicles, Southern Tribal Global Messenger alum with Special Olympics, and a service ambassador at Airlines based in Chicago. On this Unified at Work series, we feature conversations about the meaning of inclusive employment, and we're highlighting the stories of United's Washington Dallas Service Ambassador team. We are recording, for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, you might want to go check out the video this month because we are recording live on location from Washington Dallas International Airport. Our website, specialchronicles.com, where you can stream our over 750 episodes absolutely for free, and to follow Special Chronicles on social media. Go ahead and tap that follow button on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Go ahead. I'll wait. We'll wait for you. Go tap that follow button right now. Did you tap the follow button? Now you're awesome. Now you'll be notified of new episodes that drop every week on Monday. This episode is brought to you from United Airlines Bridge Disability Business Resource Group. United's Bridge Group is dedicated to connecting people of all abilities. United is committed to disability inclusion for employment and travel, including having Special Olympics athletes as part-time employees. This week on the Special Chronicles podcast, Unified at Work series, we recorded on location from Washington Dallas International Airport, is my new friend Maggie. Please wait for your. I don't have my applause, but we'll just do a one. We'll just do a one applause. We'll applaud as Maggie comes wheeling in.
Hi, nice to meet on your podcast.
It's good to have you on the program. And before we get into an introduction, in the intro, you will try to ask me a question before we got on mic here. You had a question for me before we get started?
Yeah, when did you start podcast?
So this podcast and podcasting platform on specialchronicles.com, I got started about over 15 years ago.
Wow.
I had a little bit more hair back then. But yeah, about 15 years ago. And
wow.
Amazingly, people are still listening. And yeah.
Wow.
But let's get started. And so some of the listeners might know you, or if they've seen you around the Washington Dallas Airport.
Yeah.
But for our new listeners, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us what disability you were diagnosed with, your role in our Special Olympics movement, what state you're from, and your job title at United.
So I'm Margaret Goodman, Maggie Goodman, I'd like to be called, and I have an intellectual disability, and what I do at the airport is I help guide people, show people where to go, like where the bathroom is, where security is, where the gate is.
Awesome. We're going to get into a little bit more about your story, but those listening, because this is October, so by the time this episode goes live, will be 5 years of our Service Ambassador program at United Airlines. I'm one of the original ones.
You're the OG.
The OG, yes. And it's amazing that whether it's us OGs in Chicago, you guys are watching in Dallas, our teams out in Denver, Houston, were able to really be like what we found out at the SOSA Summit, be that ambassador, be
the helpful guide
for the passengers. But let's be, we're going to get ahead of ourselves. Let's tell us about your early years, some of the challenges because of your disability.
The challenges, I would be not walking on time, not talking on time, and not walking on time and not talking on time, and being bullied in school. And kind of when I got to talking, like I helped advocate for like my friends that did not necessarily know what was going on, and I would get sent to the principal's office because I was doing that, and the teacher didn't like it.
And the teacher didn't understand the challenges that you had.
Yeah.
I bet, and some of our listeners probably, if they're empathetic, which is one of the values, I'm looking at off camera here, looking at some values of the flight operations base at United. Empathetic, but as we know on this podcast, on this program, as well as in our Special Olympics movement and at United, the challenges is not the focus, but it's on our joys and accomplishments. So what are some of the joys and accomplishments because of your disability?
Great question. So the joys and accomplishments in this job specifically is seeing smiles on people's faces, telling us that we're doing a good job in interacting with us, versus just ignoring us. And I know we have some customers that do that, but it's really nice when they talk about, hey, my daughter or my son was in Special Olympics, and we get to talking about what they did in Special Olympics.
Awesome. Well, that's really empowering. And as our listeners know, if they'll just listen to the audio podcast, we want to remind you, go check out the video on YouTube, chronicles.com, for links to watch us on YouTube. And you will see, in fact, maybe the picture that we'll take after, you see that our uniform, that we're both wearing the same uniform, co-branded, will represent not only United Airlines, but Special Olympics. We're going to take a short break. When we get back, we'll get into the one half of our uniform, which is Special Olympics. And later on, we'll come back to how you heard about the job at United Airlines and coming to United. So we'll be right back after a short break. We want to just let you all know that I am finding my banners here. You can support Chronicles, comes from listeners like you. Please join our supporters with a monthly or one-time donation so we can operate our studio and continue our mission to give respect and voice to those of us with disabilities. Visit specialchronicles.com/give. That's specialchronicles.com/give to donate and help us to even be able to come on location. And speaking, if you want to hear some of the behind the scenes of what it was like for us to actually be behind the microphone, because it was somewhat a challenge. We had to like set up the microphones and the cameras and this virtual equipment. But if you want to see some of that, we invite you to get access to our bonus content on Special Chronicles. You can subscribe to Special Chronicles Plus to access behind-the-scenes footage, bonus content, and to help us support the show. Our website team is currently helping us, so I am hoping by the time this episode goes live, our bonus content will be up and running. You can visit specialchronicles.com/plus at specialchronicles.com/plus to join today. A monthly donation or a custom one-time donation. And thank you again from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for your generous support. We can continue to bring you stories like Maggie's and the rest of us service ambassadors on this Unified Work series on specialchronicles.com. And now back to the program that left, right, the right side, I think. Is it the right side of our show?
Yeah.
It's the right side. It's you see it if you're watching the video, the other side. That side.
Yeah.
Where you're pointing. It's
it's the right side for us, the left side for you guys.
Yep. It's the Special Olympics. How did you? It's always interesting to hear from my fellow athletes and fellow athlete leaders on getting involved in this movement. How did you first get involved in Special Olympics?
So I think my stepmom would volunteer at Special Olympics, and she told me and my dad about it. That's kind of how I got started. And then the rest is history.
Awesome. And speaking of the rest is history, as we all know, sports is the foundation of this movement. But then there's athlete leadership and health and education. But let's start with the sports, because I'm sure that like yourself and myself and a million athletes across the globe is how we first got involved. So can you tell us about the sports in Special Olympics that you compete in?
So I do basketball and softball.
Awesome. Similarly to you, I tried softball for 1 year, but currently I also compete in basketball. So that's something that we share in common.
Nice.
Maybe we'll have to, maybe we can talk to others and do some type of 3-on-3 or some type of basketball game or some type of unified basketball game against our coworkers.
That would be so funny.
That would be. And maybe if United's chief customer officer, our friend Linda Georgia, I don't know if you met Linda, but she played basketball in college. So maybe if Linda's listening, maybe we can challenge some of our coworkers to a basketball game.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
Maybe.
So if Linda or anybody at headquarters is listening, that could be fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So switching now gears to athlete leadership, how did you first get involved in our athlete leadership programs? Because that's I believe one reason why how a lot of us got these jobs as service ambassadors at United Airlines is because of our athlete leadership program.
So, how I got involved, how I knew about this job is a coach emailed.
I guess jumping back a little bit, before we get to, because we'll come back to United. How did you get involved in athlete leadership with giving speeches or any of the athlete leadership opportunities?
I don't.
You're not?
No.
Really sure? All right. Well, but I'm sure being a service ambassador, you are a leader for your teammates, right?
Yeah.
Can you maybe because we'll get into United in the next segment, but how when you go to your basketball and softball competitions, how do they see you as a leader working at United?
Just have a positive attitude and teamwork. Teamwork goes a long way. In and off the court goes a long way.
So the teamwork from basketball, for example, is one of the leadership skills that you bring to your job at United?
Because there is no I in teamwork.
Absolutely.
It's team for a reason.
It is.
Because you can't do one thing. You can't do it all yourself. You have to have a team.
Awesome. Well, speaking of the team, that jumps into coming to United. But first, we're going to take a quick break to let you all know that support for Special Chronicles also comes from the ComEd Energy Force Ambassador Program, the country's first energy and solar efficiency education program, designed for and taught by people with disabilities. You can learn more at specialchronicles.com/ComEd. At specialchronicles.com/ComEd is where you can learn more. And speaking of coming to United Airlines, we mentioned it at the beginning at the top of the episode, and you were about to tell us, but now can you share with us how you first heard about this job and this new inclusive environment?
How I first heard about this job, it was really interesting. My Coach Joy, told me about this, emailed me, and thought I would like it because I'm pretty outgoing, and I did the applying, and I got the job.
Awesome. When did you, I guess for our listeners who might not know, because we'll be doing this the end of June 2024. This episode will go live in October, end of September, October, so of 2024. So when did you apply? And because I'm sure one of the staff at Special Olympics Virginia had told you, but when did you apply?
I applied somewhere in January
2023.
Yeah.
January 2023. And then you started the end of January 2023. Is that?
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of, so can you maybe take our listeners back and walk us through when you came in for your first day, and what was that training like? What was that whole?
So when I came in, the training was a week long, and we started 6 a.m. to 1, and it was all online training. It was, I guess, good, but the real work started when we were on the floor.
You're on the floor. Awesome. Yeah, we had somewhat similar. I'm trying to for us OGs, so as ambassadors, it was probably somewhat similar. I mean, I guess they were all just trying to create the jobs for the first time. But yeah, it's interesting to hear how you started a little bit differently. Can you tell us what you enjoy most about your job as a sales ambassador?
What I enjoy most is getting to meet a lot of different people from different backgrounds.
Awesome. And I think that's what probably a lot of us did discover of what we enjoy about this job. and being at the airport is meeting people from across the globe and different cultures. We first met, and we probably could have even kicked off this episode with how we first met. But well, our listeners will have to keep listening, right, for the whole episode, just to get to, I don't know, 20 minutes into this episode. I don't know the exact, I don't have my typical time clock in front of me. When we first met at the Special Olympics Dallas plane pole, last a year ago, and then again at the 2024 Social Summit. Can you tell us what was it like to meet us original service ambassadors based in Chicago?
It was cool to see what you guys do versus what we do, and what the OGs do.
Awesome. And we've probably have a little bit more experience, but it's always, I think, empowering to see other hubs, other airports at United Airlines bringing in other athletes. Did you know anything? Because I mean, I could answer this question too, but did you know anything about aviation before coming to United Airlines, or like when you were growing up, like in job skills classes, or just growing up, like did you think a job at United Airlines, or did you think a job in aviation would be possible?
No.
So what would you tell other United employees about it's now 2020, middle of 2024, a year and a half into working here? What would you tell them about what this job as a service ambassador means to you?
Inclusion is everything, and it might not seem to them like it's a big deal, but to us it really is.
Awesome. Let's put a pin on, if you guys are looking, you can probably see a map behind us. If we want to put a pin in a map, or a pin in that thought about inclusion, because we'll wrap that up in just a moment, but we want to take another quick break to let you all know that this episode is also brought to you in support from United Airlines Bridge Disability Business Resource Group. United's Bridge Group is dedicated to connecting people of all abilities. United is committed to disability inclusion for employment and travel, including having Special Olympics athletes like Maggie and myself, and those 18 of us as part-time employees. You can learn more at specialchronicles.com/United. That's specialchronicles.com/United. And speaking of Bridge, I know Jill might have said we're going to do this after, but why not surprise you on air and giving you a gift on air, and that is a sticker that says Bridge and a luggage tag.
Thank you.
If anybody knows how to actually physically write on the back of this, let me know. But
yeah,
figure that out. I come flying here to Washington Dulles. I
think you just use a Sharpie.
Good tip. I will take that icon with me, because
Did you not know that?
I honestly did not know that. Good tip. That's why we're always learning from each other, and so good tip. But that's gift. You can put this on, whether you put this on a water bottle or laptop. My girlfriend put it on her laptop, but that's a gift that I'm giving each of you guys.
Thank you.
So with that, about time. It seems like this episode has flown by, but if our listeners want to learn more about how to get involved in Special Olympics Virginia, in their local program, if you're watching, we'll If you listen to the audio podcast, we'll put links in the show notes. Wherever you're listening, just look down below. If you're watching the video, which hopefully you guys, you can look on the screen. Maggie, where can our listeners find out if they want to get involved in Special Olympics?
Go to the website specialolympics.org and find out more.
Awesome. So we will put that link in the show notes, specialolympics.org, and you can find your local program. If you're listening in Virginia, if you're listening in my home state of Illinois, or wherever you're listening, in whatever country that you're listening in, specialolympics.org. And what we tell our listeners of why they should get involved as an athlete, volunteer, coach, official, sponsor, why should listeners get involved in this movement?
Why should listeners get involved is it feels good to help and support a program that means a lot to everyone.
Awesome. And with that, I don't have another banner here, but if you guys want to book your travel, like I booked my travel to come here, you can book it on United.com or the award-winning United app like I did. You use the app, right?
Yeah.
A lot of helpful tools. So we want to recommend that.
And if you have trouble, don't hesitate to ask us to say, hey, I don't know how to work the app. Can you help us? And we'll gladly show you.
Yes, we will. Come to Washington, D.C., come to Chicago, Ohio, Denver, Houston, soon more hubs to come. But come, you will see us in our co-branded uniform. And like Maggie said, ask us and we'll be happy to help show you how to use the United app and where to go in the airport. With that, two final things to wrap up. Do you have any, the time has flown by, but we'll have you guys back on sometime. But any final thoughts on your overall time here today on the Special Chronicles podcast you'd like to share?
No, it was fun being on your show.
Awesome. Yeah, we try to make it fun. Hopefully, nice. Hopefully, I'm sure all the listeners learned a little bit more about your story, and if they want to learn more, I'm sure you guys can put it in the comments, or just come fly to Washington, D.C. and take a selfie. Ask Maggie questions the next time that you see her at the Dallas airport.
Yeah.
And with that, you started talking about inclusion, but we wrap up all the episodes with, and I don't know if I have. Oh, I do have it. Let's go ahead and we've got a bumble. I honestly forgot that this mobile setup. I am still getting used to the mobile setup. So with it, 15 years later, can you believe we're still learning new things? Okay, with that, we've got to find a bumble. Let's go ahead and roll that bumble.
We're not just athletes.
We are the ambassadors of an uprising. Peaceful protesters.
In a rebellion against anyone
who has a fear of difference.
Difference.
Our demands are
Equality.
Dignity.
and the recognition of our
Shared humanity. We will not stop
or accept anything less.
Today, our world is
More divided than ever. And coming together has never been more urgent.
The revolution.
is inclusion.
Find out more at jointherevolution.org.
And with that bumble introduced that final question. As you know, the inclusion and the inclusion weapon is a big message in the Special Olympics movement. It's important. Inclusion revolution is important in the Special Chronicles at United Airlines. So I recently came back from the Abu Dhabi World Games with, you probably know David Thompson, president of Special Olympics Virginia. So shout out to David if he's listening.
I thought he was gonna be here.
I know David should have been here. Maybe did my producer forget to touch it? David, I will. No, I love my producer and the support that I have. But yeah, David, next time we'll have to do another live podcast and invite David.
Yeah.
And so yeah, shout out to David Thompson, good friend of ours. But we always include it with asking, I think, one final question, because we want to not only learn about our stories, but take action into their communities. And that is to ask, what does inclusion mean to you?
Inclusion means that we would be included, not feeling left out. And not be like bullied, and because bullying, it does really hurt.
It does.
If you don't want to be, don't be a bully. Like,
absolutely. Yeah, don't be very hard. Hopefully that, I think that perfectly kind of brings this episode to a close. If our listeners heard you talk a little bit about your challenges in the beginning part of your story at the top of the episode, I think that will hopefully motivate and empower our listeners to take action and to not bully and to be just like us Special Olympics athletes, show love to people that show us hate. I think that also kind of speaks to them. So once again, our guest has been Maggie Goodman, our Special Olympics Virginia athlete, a service ambassador at United Airlines at Washington, Dallas. Thank you again, Maggie, for coming on the Special Chronicles podcast.
You're welcome.
And for those of you listening, we've got a few final mentions at the end of the episode. I've got, you know what? I am not gonna try to fumble through all my banners here. We're just gonna go off the top. The links will be in the show notes. Wherever you're listening, in the description below, just look down. You can shop our merchandise store and know that 60% of the profits will go back to Special Chronicles. Our Special Chronicles merchandise store is managed by Archon Labels. We have t-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, our Disabled Voices collection. Visit specialchronicles.com/shop to shop today. We're not wearing it today because we're at work, and so we can't wear all merch. But you all can go specialchronicles.com/merch. And keep following the Special Chronicles podcast. New episodes drop every week. Go ahead and tap that follow button right now. Maggie wants you to go tap that follow button on all of us, on the Special Podcast. So you never miss a new episode all month of October as we celebrate National Disability Employment Awareness Month. You can hear stories from Maggie's coworkers, and you can. We got new episodes that drop every week as we count down to the 5-year anniversary of the Service Ambassador Program at United Airlines. On this podcast, you do not want to miss a new episode, because next week we will have, I believe, John, who is in the off camera here. He'll be coming up next on the program. Don't miss out with the content. Helping you make impactful, inclusive connections in your life through our podcast. Remember to visit specialchronicles.com. You can stream our archives over 750 episodes absolutely for free, and follow Special Chronicles on social media. Subscribe to our newsletter, YouTube, all that, specialchronicles.com. And until then, Maggie, thank you again for coming on.
You're welcome.
And until then, everyone, remember, we can say choose to include at the same time. And until next time, choose to include.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Special Chronicles Shows podcast. Visit specialchronicles.com to follow Special Chronicles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and don't forget to hit the bell to be notified of new episodes. Also, subscribe to our newsletter mailing list to sign up for our updates and get exclusive content delivered to your inbox. Remember to do what you do with these podcasts. Subscribe or follow and rate and review Special Chronicles on Apple Podcasts, the iHeartRadio app, or wherever you get your podcasts. Finally, please share this episode and all of our podcasts with your friends and family. Help us grow our audience and reach 5,000 downloads of our audio podcasts and over 14,000 average monthly listeners. Have a great week, and we'll see you back here next week with exciting new guests. See you next week.
Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
Oh, is this thing still on? Are we still on?
Yeah.
Oh, it just has to take a sip of water.
Every water break.
It's the after show. Usually I take a sip of water, but we didn't really want to have a drink on camera. In fact, I think I need to get some more water. I filled up before my flight. Now I need to. And we'll eat after. You guys have a lunch break, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Colin will be up next, and
You mean John?
John. Sorry.
That's
Name. Early morning. There we go. Let's go ahead.